Hello there YouTube, my name is Chuggy and today I am playing some Battlefield 3, playing some Rush on Operation Metro. And today guys, I've got, hopefully, an interesting video for you guys. A video of two halves and, well, I'm going to have egg on my face if I get this wrong, but looking at the statistics of the matter, it should be the case. And even if it isn't, I still mean the message, and that's the important thing. By the time, guys, you're seeing this video, I'll have 6,000 subscribers. Cue egg on face. But even if I don't, it is a great time to take inventory and a great time to thank you guys again for your amazing support of the channel and you know, another subscriber milestone. YouTube is a fickle business, you know, figuring out something which works and, you know, producing obviously the content which obviously is there, which people enjoy and everything else, is not very easy. I should say, you know, it's a very tricky business to try and gauge what people want to see, enjoy watching, and obviously, you know, if you're in the gaming sphere, you know, there's so many different styles of video as well. In particular, you know, you've got educational stuff, funny stuff, you know, once in a lifetime kind of stuff. You know, it's very tricky to kind of gauge what works, but as the channel grows, it makes me realise and makes me even more humble and makes me appreciate how awesome you guys are. It's thanks to you guys that I'm still going, and it's thanks to you guys that you know, the channel has gone from strength to strength. When I started all this lark off a few years ago, my aim was to help educate, to help people have more fun playing games. Share the knowledge I've gained from playing games with others, so you know, people can enjoy using different strategies, whatever else it might be, to help them improve their game and have more fun as a result. By implication that because more and more people will be playing the game and enjoying it, that, you know, more enjoyment in general will be had, a summation of gaming awesomeness. Hopefully I've achieved that goal, but it's really very appropriate and apt, particularly at this time of year, spring, you know, the beginning of new life and all this kind of jazz, to look at what has worked, what has not worked, and to review, take inventory. Now, one thing you guys have been so fantastic with is telling me what does and doesn't work, and it is incredibly valuable to know that. You know, as I've said, you know, there are many types of, you know, for instance, just in gaming terms, styles and types of videos you see out there, and I'm pleased to see that what I've produced seems to have worked. Now, in particular, having, as you can probably imagine, preparing for this commentary, you know, I've watched back a lot of my old videos. Having watched the videos which have done well, you know, it has been the videos where I have talked about strategies, talked through, you know, for instance, the Win series, how to play the basic strategies and how to play the kits, etc. of Battlefield 3. The various pieces of DLC sort of initial impressions I've done for Battlefield have all done it incredibly well, and even stuff which I wasn't expecting to do well, the Let's Players have done above and beyond my expectation. And with the live streams and everything else coming along with, you know, steady 20 viewers for 2 odd hours, you know, it just makes me go from strength to strength, and I cannot tell you how much I mean it. So kind of point one I want to make in this video is a massive thank you to you guys. Even if I haven't hit 6,000 subscribers at this point in time, I still mean it. It is because of you that I'm here producing these videos, and I hope that you enjoy them. As I've said, it's a time to take inventory. It's a time to look at what has and hasn't worked, and I would really like to know, again, if at all anything you think I could do better or continue to do, I would love to hear it. You know, for example, I got a great piece of feedback on the last question time video I uploaded. It was too long and it was boring as a result. Thank you very much for it. I really do not mind, you know, constructive criticism whatsoever. You know, in that case, okay, I'll maybe look at shortening the length of question times down a little bit. But you know, it's really valuable to have such a great vocal community about what they prefer, and obviously by, you know, again by implication, what they don't like to see. And it's really funny, again, to take inventory of Battlefield. Now, because of my style, you know, trying to inform, to educate, everything else, as the game gets older, obviously there's less to say, less to tell. And I'll be honest, it has felt, in particular in the last few months, that I've been playing Battlefield and it's been the same old, same old. Now, that is, first of all, very curious to me. Battlefield has been a very special game to me. You know, it was the first, for instance, with Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, it was the first game I ever played online. competitively on my PS2, and I learned so much from that game in terms of how to move, how to play, how to shoot, how to think. I owe a great deal to that game in terms of how I play first-person shooters today. For instance, this situation right here, I know for a fact that position right there, just poking the end of my M240B here, is going to be a really tricky situation for the enemy to be able to figure out, well, and get the killing shot, and, well, so far they haven't been able to do that. I owe a great deal to that game, and having put in, 400-500 hours there, another 200 odd hours maybe in Bad Company, 300 hours in Bad Company 2, and, a couple, well, I don't know, less, maybe 50 or so hours in Battlefield 2, I've spent a lot of time playing Battlefield, and the 400 hours I've spent with Battlefield 3 I've equally have enjoyed, but as I kind of mentioned a second ago, I've hit this weird situation where I'm starting to get almost like deja vu with Battlefield 3. It's kind of really curious to look back at what I've done, how I've been playing, and sort of see the strategies and whatnot around me. And how, in some cases, they have changed, they have evolved, the game has changed, and how it hasn't at the same time. Now, one thing I think that, Battlefield 3, to its credit, it has done is reinvent itself really well from patch to patch. Now, for, in some eyes, good reason, in some eyes, bad, we had some pretty significant stopgaps between the patches, which brought, obviously, updates to weapons, fixing of bugs, whatever else. Can you remember back to the days when the USAS 12 frag was godlike? Feels like a very long time ago now. But that was the dominant weapon when Battlefield 3 was released. Not the case anymore, thankfully, especially given how that thing used to perform. But you'd look at how Battlefield with each patch has changed the game, it's changed various areas and tactics, and it's had to make players think twice about what they've had to do. For example, my most viewed video is the helicopters, I forget the exact name, the helicopters, tips, tricks, and crazy-ass maneuvers. There you go. I remember when I was typing, I thought, that sounds like fun, when I was uploading the video. That is my most viewed video, nearly 325,000 views, something like that. It's funny because most of the advice given in that video now is completely out of date. The patches have changed the way things work. For instance, I talk at length of how you and the gunner can both have flares and how you can work together to keep in the air. And it's funny now because the helicopters these days have much shorter lifespans, because that was a very effective tactic, and as a result, people couldn't shoot the helicopters down, especially back in the day as well, when tank shells, RPGs, would only disable a helicopter or a jet, it wouldn't outright destroy in the first shot. There was a lot of, it's a very different kind of game. Battlefield 3, though, it's kind of been very stable as of late, and perhaps as a result, we've been kind of perhaps seeing its kind of true nature, I don't know, in terms of just how it tends to play itself out. And because things have been changed in the patches as of late, or as I should say, as the game has gone on, its kind of true nature has been a little bit hidden, a little bit, in the fog of war, as it were, if you can pardon the turn of phrase. So as I've been saying, it's interesting to me how I'm kind of getting this state now these days with Battlefield 3 that it's kind of a deja vu kind of situation, as thankfully a teammate saves my life there from what would have been a certain stabbing in the shoulder. Anyway, I digress. It's interesting how Battlefield, perhaps once this fog of war has lifted, has shown its true colours. Well, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking, why is this the case that so many games tend to play out the same way? And also, in particular, why so many games are so similar, and you tend to see the same stuff being played a lot. Your team death matches on Loch Share Canals, your evenings in the meat grinder here on Operation Metro with the crazy high tickets. How come that's the case? How come you tend to see a lot of the same type of games being played, and as a result, you don't tend to see much else, as you would have perhaps, I guess, with previous games? Well, I think it's down to kind of the same thing, kind of a positive and negative effect of one in the same change, which is, well, first of all, the infantry combat's got better, but the tactics have got worse, and the two are very much linked. So one thing that Battlefield has had over other first-person shooter games is the fact that you need to play roles. Battlefield 2, there were 7 kits. Battlefield 2 Modern Combat, there were 5. Bad Company series and Battlefield 3 have had 4. there is an argument that, well, with this kind of genericification of the roles, that the actual team play has become less important, and that you know, as a kind of result of that, you know, it's easier to play, and you know, your tactics and everything that you need to employ, the balance, just doesn't have to be what it is. And I do think that that's a very valid argument. You know, that is quite a significant part of what has caused this kind of, if you will, sane kind of mentality in the games that I've been playing as of late. But at the same time, I think it's partly down to the fact that what Battlefield 3 has absolutely done right, at least for me, is get the actual characteristics and infantry fighting down to a T. You know, you've got a very fine line to walk when making first-person shooter games, of, you know, trying to be authentic and realistic to a degree, and trying to make the game balanced and fair. And I think DICE have done a really good job in that regard, actually. You know, for example, I have an M240B here. It's a light machine gun. It's great once it's bipoded, light, you know, laser sharp, as you saw a second ago when I was up against that wooden fence there. But you know, when I'm firing it from the hip, I don't stand unearthly. You've seen that again in this gameplay. Likewise, you've got submachine guns, like assault rifles, shotguns, all the rest out there, and they're all characteristic of how its equivalent would be in real life. You know, for instance, an AEK there beat me because it was purely a lot more accurate than my machine gun from the hip or ADS in that situation. Great, that's kind of really nice and authentic, and it has made the infantry fighting, first of all, very important. Your ability with a weapon is all of a sudden quite a bit more important, and you know, it perhaps has encouraged more infantry fighting rather than tactical fighting. Now, the argument I am kind of trying to make here is that it's kind of a two-edged sword. You know, with the kind of generification, the fact that the weapons have had to be, well, first of all, made more generic and spread across more classes, and therefore they've had to be worked on a bit more to make them fit, is kind of both a good and a bad thing. And it's kind of left me in two minds of what I'd like to see for future installments in the series. I personally love the tactical edge of Battlefield. I think it is what makes the field what it is. You may have a situation where one team is completely and utterly devastating, say with vehicles, but if your team starts to bring out engineers, then, well, you can counter those vehicles. But, oh no, look, you can't keep your soldiers up and alive, so you have to switch to the assaults, and you know, you get this very beautiful rock, paper, scissors situation going on. Perhaps that isn't seen so much in Battlefield 3. Perhaps a few of the classes are a bit stronger than the others, perhaps unfairly, perhaps the others need a buff up, who knows. But in either way, it's kind of taken away, I think, a bit at the edge, and I think that's what I'm really missing. But at the same time, I don't want to lose the really neat kind of characteristic, authentic kind of weapons that we have these days. You know, it's been really very enjoyable to play in matches where I've done well, being frank, KD-wise, because I've used a weapon as it would be used, tactically almost, to that end. And it's kind of annoying, I guess, that it's a trade-off that we're going to have to think about and potentially make. Now, don't get me wrong, I have infinite wisdom in DICE. You know, they produce a great series of games, and I cannot put into words how much I've enjoyed playing them. But it's very fitting, both at this time of year and at this milestone, to review what I've done, how I play the game, and to appreciate the moments where, well, I've done well and where I can improve. I think that's true of everyone in every situation, not to get caught out in the middle of no man's land. So guys, I'm going to wrap up this video like this, and yeah, Battlefield 3, is it a bit generic? Is it a bit same? I don't know. I'd love to know your view on this, and what you would change in this kind of regard. Would you bring more roles, more tactics back to Battlefield 4, or would you keep things as they are? I'd love to know. But as before, guys, thank you so much for this incredible milestone of 6,000 subscribers, and yeah, egg on my face if it doesn't happen, but the message is the same. I cannot thank you enough for your amazing support. I really cannot, and your great feedback and everything else I've talked about. I won't reiterate myself, I won't blubber, but it is so rewarding to know that this little hobby of mine is appreciated, and going forward with not only new games after the summer game drought, but new consoles and everything else, it's made me even more motivated and more fired up to produce more and better content in the near future. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I'd love to know your viewpoint on the Battlefield, and well, any feedback you have for me for my videos and everything else. Thank you so very much for watching. As always, if you could leave a like, dislike, whatever you believe the video deserves, that would be fantastic. And yeah, if you're new to my content, you'd like to see some more from me, you can always subscribe. But guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. I've been Chuggy, and I'll see you next time out on the battlefield.